I'm James with NetNewsledger. We're at Cam River Park. I'm here with a group of walkers who are headed to Ottawa, but they're in Thunder Bay right now. And they're here for Youth Speaking Out. And I'm here with
Adrian Moffat. I am from Winnipeg.
Hello, bonjour. My name is Blue Thunderbird Man from the Bear Clan, from Anumajibing, Lake Manitoba First Nation. My biblical name is Christian Swan, and I don't know what else to say right now.
Bonjour, Opachi Adesnikaz, Canoe Adodam, Toronto Adodam. Hello, that was my introduction in Ojibwe. My name is Melissa Azevedo. My spirit name is Robin, and my clan is Eagle. This is Chad Reeves. He's deaf and he can't speak, but he speaks through his artwork. He's quite well known in Winnipeg.
Now the group is here to recognize the issues going on with children in the welfare system, as well as the women who've gone murdered and missing. You're here for walking with our sisters in Thunder Bay. What's the real issues that our readers and viewers need to know? I don't know.
All right. Well, the problem is that in a lot of provinces, over 50% of the children in care are Aboriginal, when the population of Canada that is Aboriginal is only 4%. And since 1980, there's been a recorded of 1,200 missing and murdered Aboriginal women, and that's only the recorded statistics, so you can imagine that the actual numbers are much larger. And when women who go missing are Aboriginal, the police are much slower to take notice and take action and to investigate these issues, and they get a lot less attention from publicity, and it's often blamed on prostitution or other issues, although those are issues that are faced. And the problem with the child care system is that it breaks families apart and takes children away from their homes and puts them into other families where they often suffer from abuse. And furthermore, they're colonized even farther than they've already been, because they're taken away from their tradition, which is often the best way for people to find healing when they suffer from abuse and addiction. And so we're trying to bring awareness to these issues as we travel through different communities, and we take this to Ottawa to push Harper to go into an inquiry into missing and murdered, because when Tina Fontaine was found in the Red River in Winnipeg, Harper made a comment that that was only a crime, it wasn't a sociological issue. And so if there was an inquiry put out, it could be proven that it's not just a crime, that there's systemic racism, and women aren't valued as they should be, and especially Aboriginal women, and that shows a lack of value in life itself. And when we don't value the gift of life and the gift of life that women carry, we don't value Mother Earth, and we can see what we're doing to the planet. And also, life goes beyond just the women. It's the children, and it's the men, it's the elders. They all need to heal, and everyone needs to have a voice. And when you look at the problem of abuse or addiction, it's not just the person who's being abused that's hurting, it's also the person who is abusing, because they're hurting as well. And so what we need is for healing to take place, and also for not the people who have been the oppressors for so many years to tell the oppressed what they need, but for them to listen to the people who are being oppressed.
So the message is going on to Ottawa from, where did you start?
We started in Winnipeg, where shortly after Tina Fontaine was found in the Red River. A sacred fire was lit for 4 days outside of the legislative building, and from there a protest camp started, and it was just, when I arrived, it was just a few tents, and one of the leaders, Chelsea, had a dream one night, I remember, by the sacred fire, that it would grow, and sure enough it grew, and there was over 100 people there. And after Harper agreed to sit down at a roundtable discussion, they decided to close down the protest camp, but a couple of youth decided to continue this camp and to give themselves a voice, because often the youth don't have a voice, and they're told what to think by history lessons which the government creates and social media and all these things, but they wanted their own voices to discuss some of the pain that they go through. And so that's when CFS was addressed, which is the child welfare system in Manitoba, and we did some demonstrations in Winnipeg, and that's when they decided to walk to Ottawa, and that's where we left from.
Tina Fontaine was a 15-year-old Aboriginal youth from Saugeen First Nation. She was in care, and she had many encounters with the police services before they discovered her body at the Alexander Docks in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And a lot of the crimes that have been committed on the people, it's always drugs, alcohol, prostitution. We need to find real solutions to fixing those problems instead of taking the family apart, keeping them together, working within the system. People fall in between the cracks in the system, and that's what affects us really lots as people. It kind of reminds me of the residential school era, where they would come and take children from the community without consent from the people. And more or less we're looking for alternative routes to addressing the many injustices we face here in Turtle Island. Our people have always adapted to the ways that the Europeans have put sanctions on our people. They promote democracy, supported UN missions, and how could they go support these missions overseas, fight their wars, when they can't even take care of their own people here in Turtle Island? And another thing, there's a 11-year-old and a 14-year-old that have been protesting in Winnipeg until there's a national inquiry. There is Kendall Wood and Darnell Wood. They're brothers, and they're doing all kinds of movements in Winnipeg and Manitoba. So those are some questions that the Canadians, the so-called Canadians in this country, should really examine. When children are starting to go to the streets, which kind of country are we living in if children have to go to the streets and start protesting?
So as we move forward, the goal to get a national inquiry on murdered and missing women seems to be reaching more and more of Canada, and yet the government hasn't moved yet. What do you feel that says about our country?
It's very shameful. They want to be known as one of the greatest countries in the world, but yet they fail to recognize the First Nations as people. The treaties are very important to our people. Like, I remember there was a time when they said they would not take the children. They would give the family the opportunity to caregive for that child if there was problems, and those things have not been fulfilled. Then you think about other things, like how come our women are not important? Like, is it the reason being they give life? We're one of the fastest growing populations, and that's where I think it's not a problem with Canada and society here in Canada.
So tomorrow you get to visit for the closing ceremonies of Walking with Our Sisters, which has been a very emotional event here in Thunder Bay. It's affected a lot of people, myself included. There's 1,700 pairs of vamps, the tops of moccasins, representing women who've gone murdered and missing. That's a number that is almost beyond belief. So you'll have an emotional day tomorrow, I'm sure.
Well, it doesn't only happen to our women. Our men too are subject to those cracks in the system. Like, where does a man really have to go, like, when they're faced with abuse by their spouse? A lot of our men are waking up and starting to realize that we as people have to fulfill our roles and responsibilities in life.
I'm James with NetNewsledger. We're at Cam River Park talking about murdered and missing Aboriginal women and youth that are in dire need in Canada of having some help from the government.